Hey everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to do the sideboard guide for Rhinos in Modern, which is an incredibly consistent cascade deck that has quite a few tricks up its sleeve. Now the stock Rhinos list actually has a pretty simplistic sideboard, running 3 Leyline of Sanctity, 3 Leyline of the Void, 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Obsidian Charma, and 4 Force of Vigor. Most of the cards that this deck plays in its main deck are either a part of the combo or important parts in protecting the combo, so a lot of our sideboarding is going to be doing similar to one another. We're going to go through the top 10 most popular decks in Modern for the sideboarding. Against creativity, we are just bringing in our Mystical Disputes. They interact with us by bringing in counter magic to stop the Crashing Footfalls, and frankly, if we stop that counter magic, I mean, it doesn't stop Flusterstorm or anything, but if we're able to interact with that counter magic, then we are doing excellent. Also, Mystical Dispute counters creativity, which absolutely matters as well. And more things to pitch the Force of Negation to hit the Ren and 6, or the Force of Negation hit creativity, or whatever. We have a lot of waves to deal with the dwarves, especially at instant speed, and we really want to be interacting with them at instant speed. So we are just going to cut 3 Furies for these 3 Mystical Disputes. Because we want to interact at instant speed with the dwarves, we need that counter magic. Cards like Teferi are super important in this interaction. We want to be able to kill them as fast as possible with their Crashing Footfalls. We want to be able to deal with their threats and their Planeswalkers, and we want an alternate win condition in Scion of Draco. Against Murktide, we are bringing in our Leyline of the Voids and our Mystical Disputes. Leyline of the Void basically means that their Murktide, they essentially can never cast. And it means that DRC will always remain a 1-1 100% of the time. If we have Leyline of the Void in our opener, we are doing great. And Mystical Dispute counters nearly everything in their deck. Now, I like taking out Force of Negation because often what happens is this becomes a grindy mid-range mirror, and I don't want things that 2-for-1 myself. I'd rather deal with the stuff on board with things like Leyline Binding or Teferi, or very, very cheaply like with Mystical Dispute. And we're taking out 2 of the Dead and Gones. While Dead and Gone deals with Ragavan, it doesn't really deal with anything else in the deck. It's a horrible top deck in the late game, and we have other ways to deal with Ragavan by turn 2 through Fire and Ice and Leyline Binding. The third most popular deck is Hammer Time, and we are bringing in our 4 Force of Vigors to try to deal with that. In doing so, we're going to be bringing out our Teferi Time Ravelers. While it stops Sigarda's aid, the instant speed isn't necessarily the thing that always gets us. Just being able to equip for free is the thing that gets us. And most of their stuff is so cheap that they're just going to replay it anyway. So we're going to be cutting the Teferi. And we're also going to be shaving a Scion of Draco. The thing is, if we stop them, their deck does nothing. Like, if we stop that initial aggression, we have time. So being able to pitch the Crashing Footfalls to Force of Vigor, being able to pitch any of these Cascaders to Force of Vigor, having all of this removal between Fire and Ice, Dead, Gone, and Fury, and Leyline Binding is very, very powerful. And in stopping that initial aggression, we don't need that 4th Scion of Draco. I'm not worried about it. Against the Rakdos Scam decks, I like bringing in Leyline of the Void because they can't do their, like, double Grief you on turn 1 or 4/4 Fury you on turn 1 if you have that Leyline of the Void. And similar to Hammer Time, if you stop their initial, like, scam crap, their deck doesn't really do anything anymore, and we can just overwhelm them with our Rhinos. That being said, we want to make sure we have our removal for Ragavan or other ways to interact with that Grief combo. And because there are no counter magic, I actually just like taking out Teferi Time Raveler. Against the 4 colors Elementals deck, I like bringing in Mystical Dispute. And that's pretty much it. Mystical Dispute countering things like Omnath or Risen Reef, or the counter spell, the card, is very, very strong for super, super cheap, which we love. The thing about a lot of cards in Elementals, though, is that they have pretty high toughness besides Riven Reef. So we're going to bring out Dead and Gone. And often we can't 2-for-1 that with Fury, but it's just like a late game, like 1-for-1 card, which is totally fine, but is okay to shave. So this is where we'll end up against 4-color Elementals, 4-color Omnath, whatever you want to call it. The 6th most popular deck is the Mirror. In the Mirror, we are just bringing in the Mystical Disputes. We want to be able to fight that counter magic game. Casting it for retail against Crashing Footfalls is totally fine. If we like Force Negation to Crashing Footfalls, being able to Mystical Dispute their counter magic or Mystical Dispute their Force of Negation feels so good. And as you can see, there's really nothing to kill with Dead and Gone, so that hits the bin. And Fire and Ice is essentially a cantrip in this matchup, so that will hit the bin as well. The 7th most popular deck is Burn. Against Burn, we're mostly looking to shave things that are bad, and I actually think everything in this deck is pretty good against Burn besides Teferi. So I liked bringing in Mystical Dispute. I realize it doesn't hit anything for 1 mana, but Burn is built to deal 20 damage. If you're able to have another thing to pitch to Force of Negation to stop a Burn spell, or even casting Mystical Dispute for retail, often that's enough to give you enough time that you can play some magic. And I like bringing in 1 Force of Vigor. Force of Vigor to snipe those Eidolons or to beat any cutesy sideboard cards they want to bring in against us. The 5th most popular deck is Amulet Titan. Against Amulet Titan, we are bringing in Force of Vigors. And I actually like bringing in the Obsidian Charmaz as well. There's actually a surprising amount of lands in the Amulet Titan deck that produce colorless, so often you can cast this a little bit earlier than normal. We're bringing out our Dead and Gones because it doesn't actually hit anything. Bringing out our Teferis because they don't really play the counter magic game. And we're going to shave 1 Fire and Ice. Ice is okay because it can tap down like a double mana land on their upkeep, which is pretty cool. But the Fire side doesn't really do anything, so it mostly is just to dig us deeper. And Obsidian Charmaz in there to like take out these double mana lands to try to give us more time. Force of Vigor we're bringing in for being able to hit Urza's Saga, being able to hit amulets, or any cutesy stuff that they want to get off of Urza's Saga. It also hits Dryad of Elysian Grove. Force of Vigor is just nuts against Amulet Titan. The 9th most popular deck is Grinding Station, also called Breach. This deck interacts like a blue-red tempo deck with a combo that can just kill us with Grinding Station. So we like Force of Vigors. We're going to sideboard heavily against this deck. We like Leyline of the Voids because that means they can't combo us. This stops a bunch of their artifact crap and can take out a Breach after they cast 1 spell. And we bring in Mystical Disputes because they run a bunch of counter magic and blue creatures to protect their combo. Because I want to present a threat as I deal with my opponents, I actually like Fury more than Leyline Bindings, so we actually cut the Leyline Bindings in this matchup. They can go very, very quickly, and we're bringing in enough answers to their combo that we just need to be like the better mid-range deck. Unfortunately, we have to leave in some number of Fire and Ice and Dead Gone to deal with Ragavan. So we're going to shave 1 Fury. We're going to shave the Dead Gones, 2 of the Scion of Dracos, and a Fire and Ice. That way we have 6 cards that we can cast early on that can deal with a Ragavan, but still have the mid-range and the combo support to just like not die to the Breach combo. And the 10th most popular deck is Yawgmoth. Against Yawgmoth, we're really simple. We're bringing in Leyline of the Void and bringing out Force of Negation. Our plan is to answer what they have on the board and present lethal threats as fast as possible. I don't want to play the game of pitching stuff to, you know, and be like burnt out, not being able to deal with their combo. I actually like Teferi. Being able to bounce their stuff means they have to replay it. It also means they have to Court of Calling on my turn, which means I can do whatever I want. And it's definitely a super favorable matchup. Keeping 1 Force of Negation. If we didn't realize it, 4 ley lines. Or 3 ley lines, excuse me. Well, there you have it. The sideboarding for Rhinos in Modern for the top 10 most popular decks. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on other social medias, including Twitch. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.